It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Hell of a lot of news to unpack every single day, by the way. Seems like we're having bigger and bigger news stories. Yesterday, obviously, a colossal, historic Supreme Court ruling giving Trump a little bit more leeway in extending his time before court falls in his doorstep, but also the longest serving senator, talking about Mitch McConnell, also stepping down. So it was a really big news day yesterday. But today is not necessarily a small one because some of these issues are going to continue. I guess the first question we were asking is not even what the actual program is about, but do you think Trump's cases will culminate before the election? Do you think his cases will come to fruition before the November election? Or do you think this stuff will continue on? How many of you folks think that, particularly with the Supreme Court as of yesterday, they're ruling that they're going to actually entertain whether Trump should have immunity or not, and they're not going to even rule on it likely till June? I believe in April is when they'll take it up, and then that's at that point you're going to have folks that are favoring Trump and folks that want Trump convicted presenting their case to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is not likely to rule on it until around June sometime. So we're talking about November from the, because if Trump wins the immunity case, then Jack Smith has nothing to stand on. If Trump is deemed immune, if he's deemed immune from anything that happened on January 6th, for instance, then whatever Jack Smith is pursuing, he has immunity, so it's basically meaningless. So Jack Smith's entire case derives on, it's riding on what the Supreme Court rules. So how many of you folks think that what Trump is dealing with in court will actually come to some type of conclusion by election day? Now, it doesn't matter what happens. If it doesn't go in Trump's favor, he's going to appeal it and then appeal it again to the Supreme Court. But if you are convicted of a crime, you can actually be sentenced while you're appealing it. So just like right now with the E. Jean Carroll and the case with Letitia James, he's appealing both of those, but you still got to pay the money. It's just going to the system to hold it until we see what happens with your appeal. If you're convicted of a felony, they'll hold your ass until they see what happens with the appeal. You're going to sit in jail until the appeal culminates. Oftentimes, if you get a bail or a bond, there's some finagling to it, but you could see yourself sitting in jail while the appeal is going. So the questions we're going to ask today, though, is, first of all, do you believe Trump can even get a fair trial in the courts? Or do you believe the courts are so biased that it's impossible for number 45 to even be treated fairly? Can Trump get a fair trial in the courts? Now, there are folks who favor Trump, who believe he's already innocent. There's folks who want to convict the guy from the moment he was charged. So what do you think? Do you think he could get a fair trial? I see in some of the comments, Tim Moore says not in New York. Okay, what about in Florida? Because that's an interesting point, because Trump himself has made it seem as though Democratic judges, Democratic prosecutors cannot be trusted to adjudicate his cases without bias. Now, he also said the same thing when he had his Trump University, and there was a judge overseeing that case that was a Mexican, and he stated the same thing. This judge cannot handle my case because he's Mexican. When you talk like that, it leads one to ask, okay, if you think Democrats are not going to treat you fairly, what are you saying about Republicans? What are you saying about Republicans, that they're going to work in your favor? That's not fair either. It just benefits you. You can have an unfair court that works in your favor as well. All levels of unfairness are not against you. Some of them work to your benefit. Many of us are totally aware that if we had been texting and tweeting out the address of the judge and saying things about his wife, you or I would be held in contempt. So Trump has had some benefits from being who he is in the court systems as well. I don't think any of us could have behaved like Trump did and walked out without spending a single day in jail on a contempt, being detained for contempt. So he has benefited as well. All right, so that's the number one question we're asking. Can Trump get a fair trial? Can he get a fair shake in court? I got a secondary question I want to run by you folks, particularly my beloved MAGA. And you know how the program is ran. We don't block, censor, or limit anyone's conversation because they have a difference of opinion with anyone in here, including myself. I am a huge proponent of free speech. I will always observe that here. So this particular topic could lead to a lot of, let's just say, interesting opinions, which is fine. No one will be blocked, banned, or censored. We're talking about Arizona House Bill 2843. You're not going to hear a lot about this, particularly on the right side of the aisle, even though it's coming from a Republican congressional body. House Bill 2843. You know Arizona's on the border. You ever heard of the Castle Doctrine? I'm sure most of you are familiar with that. Definitely shout out to my Second Amendment supporters. Gives you the right to use lethal force to defend your home or your property. The Castle Doctrine. Arizona wants to tailor that, not your property, it defends your home. Arizona wants to tailor that to defend your property. They want to give Arizonians, the citizens, the right to use lethal force on migrants, quote unquote, suspicion of trespassing. So if you're an illegal immigrant and you're on someone's ranch in Arizona, southern Arizona, you come in down there, they have the right to take your life. This is House Bill 2843. It's making its way through the Republican congressional body. Now, the governor of Arizona is a Democrat, so it wouldn't likely pass the governor's desk. But I want to get your opinion. Do you believe the crisis at the border is so significant that it's time we start taking some lives if the powers that be are not going to enforce it? Would you be in favor, let's say as long as Biden is in office and folks are still coming over, would you be in favor of letting the citizens of these states on the southern border take the lives of immigrants if they enter the country illegally? Or if you have a suspicion that they're trespassing on your property? How many of you folks would agree with that, allowing you to take the life of an illegal immigrant? All right, looking in the comments, and it's interesting, real quick, Luigi says the border again, handsome. The border is the number one issue, Luigi. Both the president and the number one contender for president are there today. What do you mean the border again? Both Trump and Biden are in Texas. Are we supposed to not talk about that? They're both there right now. Going to the box, by the way, tap the screen. 700 plus of you in here on TikTok. Certainly for my YouTube followers or viewers, feel free to smash that like button, if you will. Subscription, you know how we always say. Look it in the comments real quick. Isn't it convenient that they waited until an election year to go after Trump? This screams election interference on so many levels. Well, they didn't. The election year is 2024. You're telling me no one was going after Trump in 2023 or 2022? I don't believe that is true. My analysis is they've been going after Trump since this began. It's just MAGA thought it was bullshit even then. They didn't just start going after Trump in an election year. They've been going after Trump since a lot of this stuff happened. Letitia James, who just won a $335 million judgment against Trump, I think she started her investigation in 2019. This didn't just begin. Going into it's culminating. It's coming to an end in election year because they're in a rush, but they've been going after him. The Chosen One. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Chosen One, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to have you. So how do you feel about giving Arizonans the power to defend their land with lethal force against immigrants?
live in Arizona, and we already have the Castle Doctor in here. That bill will not pass. We don't have a problem with the border here.
No problem at all. They're making it up.
They've been making it up.
Wow. So what about so you're saying there's not a single rancher down there that has ever had their property taken or their land violated by an illegal immigrant?
I know for a fact that the ranchers, they leave water out. The people pass by walking to get onto American soil.
Okay.
But as far as anybody taking over anybody's ranch, that's not true.
Well, if they come into the country illegally, it's almost impossible to do that without being on somebody's land, is it not?
Well, I see it like this. Like I said, I live in Arizona. I used to drive Greyhound. I used to drive a Greyhound to Mexico. I worked for a construction company that got the contract to build the border.
Okay.
The border wall. When people are having a hard time in their country, they want a better life. They're seeking a better life. And I don't think it's conducive for people to tell someone that they can't come to America because America was stolen from Native Americans.
So are you suggesting that as long as they don't have a criminal record or any type of ill will toward the United States, anybody that comes that's seeking to better their life should be let in?
I do.
Okay. I don't know if you would.
I mean, why not?
Well,
America was stolen from Native Americans. Nobody that's not native to these lands should be telling anyone that they can't come here. America was built by immigrants.
yeah, but do we have a limit on how? I mean, do you just as long as they are law abiding and they mean no ill will to America, you're saying just take in an unlimited amount? We don't have a limit or anything?
But we have a process.
Okay.
We have a process as far as people come, they seek asylum, they get a court date, and if I'm not mistaken, 90% of them come back for their court date. So the problem that we're having is people coming over and their visas expire and they stay.
Well, I can tell you, I think the numbers on the percentage of them that come back and answer their court dates, I believe that number is going to drop significantly because the amount of folks coming in has grown a hell of a lot. I don't think that might apply to the immigrants that came in here seeking asylum in the 90s or early 2000s, but because the number of folks seeking asylum now has blown up, and I don't think there's anybody that believes these folks, the majority of them have a legitimate case to claim asylum. I don't think they're going to answer those court dates. I think they're going to hide out and hope to get amnesty from a different method. Just let them stay like Ronald Reagan did.
Well, I see it. Well, people say they come in, they steal, they kill, they grape people. I work with a lot of Mexicans, Spanish people, Black people, Caucasians. They're very hard workers. They're very hard workers. They're out here selling flowers, selling oranges. I mean, the only people I see begging on the corner are Caucasians. I'm going to be honest with you.
Where do you live at? I got a lot of blacks in my neighborhood doing it. Where are you at?
I live in Arizona.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
They're very hard workers out here. Very hard. And I don't see what other people see as far as they're not living near a border town or anything like that. People come from over Mexico, they work in the United States, they go back home. You have some that want a better life and they stay here, but they're coming in the legal way. It's a lot of them that come in here to America and through Arizona that want to a better life for their family.
Okay, but hold on. But here's the issue. Even if they're not committing crimes that you suggest, and the news is definitely showing some of them committing crimes because the girl got murdered, and I think a young baby did too. But let me ask you this. If they come and they're hard workers like you're talking about, but the amount of them coming is swollen up, does that affect your job or my job at all in terms of supply and demand, where you now have this huge supply of labor? The demand isn't growing, but the amount of folks willing to work is growing astronomically. Does that affect our ability to earn as Americans?
Well, Americans don't want to do some jobs because they feel as though it's beneath them.
Okay.
And the people that are coming in, they're willing to do anything. And we're so comfortable with, oh, I can't work $10 an hour. They will. Don't get mad at
I don't listen. Yeah, Chosen One, I don't disagree with you that, but let's be clear. I think you're willing to admit they're not all roofers and gardeners. If you want a job as let's say, for instance, you work in a supermarket, your job is cashier, you stocking shelves. They're doing your job too. They're not just on hot roofs or out in the field picking oranges. You're competing with them for your job as well. You go to Walmart, they're there too. So they're not just doing these jobs you're talking about that no Americans want now.
Okay, I get what you're saying. But when they wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and stand there out looking for jobs, Americans are at home saying, I don't get up past 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. The early bird gets the worm.
So do you want natural born American citizens to get up earlier and compete, as you say, the early bird gets the worm, with people that legally do not have a right to be here? You realize how some Americans might take that? Is now you're telling me I don't work hard enough, I got to compete with other folks coming here that have no legal right to be here.
Well, first of all, Black people have been competing our whole life. We have to be better, faster, jump higher, be more educated. So don't get mad at somebody for getting there before you. Okay. Keep pushing. You can make it.
All right, I like that.
Drive a truck. I drive a truck, so I don't have the problem of someone's taking my supermarket job. I don't look down upon anybody. But if you're not willing to get up, apply for that job, keep consistent calling to see how your application or how did your interview go, and they're out there 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's the first thing they see, a person that's in need, they're gonna pick that person.
I don't disagree.
When they come there at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, I do have to move it on, but I just want to say this. I don't disagree with you that an employer is going to focus on the person that's willing to work the hardest. But the average American worker is like, damn, before you let them in, I didn't have to work so hard, or as you say, I didn't have to get up at 4 a.m. But because you're letting these folks in, now I got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and stay on my toes. How is that good to me by any means?
Because why should something be handed to you because you're an American? If you don't get up at 4 o'clock, if you know somebody's getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you gonna wait till 9 o'clock, there's not gonna be any job for you.
Wow. All right. So competition is good is the point, right?
Pretty much.
All right. Chosen One, appreciate you coming on.
Not everybody can be number one.
It's well stated. I do agree with that. Come on back anytime. All right. Appreciate it. Moving the program on. Free market. A lot of folks agree with her. Listen, I see it a little bit different. I am pro-immigrant, but look, if folks are coming to the country and it's changing the way you operate, making you work harder, making you be more competitive. Yeah, Hockey Medic. Thank you for the hat and mustache. Appreciate it. Starting the program all right. I just want to say, if someone is causing you to be more competitive, to get the same earnings that you were getting before they came. You got to understand some folks are not going to like that. But she made a good point. Competition can be good. They have told black people in the cities there's no funding for this or that for years, but all of a sudden there's plenty of money for illegal, says James. And that is what's pissing off a lot of liberals in cities like New York and Chicago. I got a relative that I debate with all the time. He is African American, obviously, but he's actually about to support Trump because he's saying the same thing. Lives in Chicago. Immigrants everywhere. They're getting resources that used to be allocated to us. So I'm not a fan of the inhumanity that was exhibited by Governor Greg Abbott of Texas sending migrants north, but I gotta give him credit. It is working in terms of bringing more only open their eyes about what's going on at the border, but bringing them over to the Republican Party. It is working. It's inhumane, but it is working. Real quick, tap the screen. 900 plus of you folks in here on TikTok. Get your boy up to 20,000 likes. The program is now in session. You know we don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. If you get in the comment section or you disagree with the host, nobody gives a damn. We don't censor or limit anyone because they have a difference of opinion. The program is and always will remain free speech, first and foremost, and MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Going back to the box, we'll keep it moving on with green. Good afternoon, the black, red, and the green. Not to quote X-Clan, but a key sissy. I don't see if it came up, though. The box is acting weird here. Green, we'll keep it moving if we can't bring green on. I appreciate you folks that are tapping. Moving the program on, we'll go to Bo. I always have a few issues with the box. I don't know why that happens, and this is why I have the utmost respect for you. Igwa6 James, thank you. Appreciate that. I do believe in civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any concern of being blocked or censored. Good afternoon, Bubbo.
Hey, how's it going today?
It's going good. We're asking two questions. I'll give you the Arizona bill, House Bill 2843, allowing you to use lethal force. If an illegal immigrant enters the country and you have suspicion that they're trespassing on your land, you will legally have the right to take their life. Do you agree with that?
As an Arizonian, nope.
Why not?
Reason being is because if you're coming into my home and my life is in imminent danger, I understand. However, if you're passing through on my land, you're putting my home, my life, my children, my property at risk. I shouldn't take your life. I think this all stems from an incident down here recently, within the last couple of years, where there was a rancher who unalived an illegal immigrant coming across his land.
Yeah, his trial is coming up. That came when I was researching this story. I hear he's about to be on trial or something.
Yes, he's currently getting ready to face trial, and I believe that he should face trial, and I feel like he should be convicted due to the fact that, number one, your life was not at risk. These people were coming across and trying to get here. Yeah. Granted, number one, it's illegal. You shouldn't be coming across like that. We do have a process. You should follow the process. Number two, there was the young lady just before me who said she lives here in Arizona. I do see the impact of the illegal immigrants coming across the border. Been here for over 20-something years. Now, the thing about it is I'm born and raised in a border city.
What impact are you seeing?
There are more homelessness. People are being priced out of their homes for rent increases. The homeless on the street are just horrible, and a lot of it is due to the immigration. People can't afford to work and pay their bills because some person that's here illegally is taking their job, doing the job for less money.
So you're actually on my side with the supply and demand issue, where you're increasing the amount of workers too great to match the supply and bringing down everybody's wages.
Exactly. The cost of living is steadily rising. Your wages are not rising as fast as the cost of living is. And then when you bring someone in that will do the job, like here in Arizona, I know, like in the Valley, I'm going to speak for where I live. In the Valley, we have an abundance of, say, call center jobs. Okay?
Okay.
Where you go in customer service, whatever. They pay really well. Now, if I can get you hired on as an American, it's probably going to cost me somewhere in the range of $20, $21, $22 an hour.
Okay.
17, 18 bucks an hour. Because that's what we want to work for. That's what we need to sustain.
Right.
However, I have a person that's coming in who can do the job, and they'll do it for $15 to $17 an hour. I'm going to hire that person.
So you're making the same point I made, that they're not all out in the field picking oranges or doing roofs. They're taking our jobs.
There are, yes, exactly. And, we get up in the morning, yes, we go to we drive past the Home Depot. There are what we call day workers out there.
Yeah.
And they are out there bright and early, at the crack of dawn. But the thing about that is, the reason they get picked up is because the contractors that need the help, they know that these people are going to work their tail feather off.
Right. So I agree that immigrants, because they got more to lose, they're going to work harder than any American. They don't have access to the social services that you or I may get as much. But at the end of the day, we're talking in regards to Joe Biden. Do you think he's responsible at all for what's going on? No.
I think it's not just Joe Biden. I think it's everyone in our government in this nation who's failed us as a government to secure our borders and do the right things. I heard something here recently about Trump is reaching out to members of the Republican Party and telling them not to work on an immigration bill until not to get this immigration bill passed until he's in office, so that way he can show that he got it done.
That appears to be true. Yeah.
That being the case, who's really working for our best interests as a country?
Yeah, but then you gotta ask. Here it is, some 9 months before the next national election. Why didn't Biden do anything sooner? Is he actually doing this out of concern for the border, or is he doing it for concern that he gets reelected? He could have been done something about the border.
I think it's kind of a mixture of both. I think he kind of was trying. I don't want to say trying, because if you're actually trying to do something, you're going to get it done. I think that there were talks in the works along the way, and there were things that should have gotten done that didn't get done. And now here it is, an election year, so I'm going to go hard at this particular issue so that I can become reelected.
Here's the issue I have with that. What you're saying would make more sense if the Biden administration didn't spend the first 2 years denying that there was a problem at the border to begin with. They were literally begging Kamala Harris to go down there and even look. So, that didn't help the Biden administration. Denying, yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I apologize for that. But the one thing about that is the problem with it is the whole situation was, people say that Trump had the border under lockdown and it was a good process that was in place. However, what we fail to realize is that the way that Trump went about securing the border was based on the fact that there was a pandemic and we were having issues with this virus or this coronavirus thing.
But let's say this though.
He enacted a law that stated that in order to preserve the health of the country, we're going to use this health pandemic to shut the border down. Yeah. Now, what Biden was supposed to do, and what would have been smart of Biden, is before that law ended, he should have had something in place.
That's the point. That's the point. I want to ask you this final question before I move it on, because even if you don't favor what Trump did, there has never been a time in Trump's political history, the first 4 years he ran, and certainly while he's been campaigning, he has never denied we have a problem at the border, unlike Biden, who did for a couple years. So I do want to ask you this. Who do you think, if controlling the border and getting that under control, which candidate do you think is a better choice if that is your sole issue of concern?
As much as I, detest saying this, as far as getting the border under control, I think there would be some I think Trump would enact laws quicker.
Right. All right. Well, yeah, because he's not denying there's an issue. I do got to move it on, though, Bobo. Appreciate you coming through.
Blessed day, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. I do appreciate the show when I do get the chance to chime in. You all keep doing and fighting for the real thing. And, God bless you for giving everybody the opportunity to be heard and not silencing anyone, be it, what their differences are.
Thank you. That's how the program is ran, Bobo. Anytime, come on back through. Now, we're going to be asking the first question we're going to tackle as well, so that we're not just focusing solely on the border, but the border is obviously a very, very important topic among American voters. But we're also asking, can President Trump get a fair trial? Obviously, he has a host of more court cases coming up. The Stormy Daniels issue begins later in March. He just lost to Letitia James. I think that is Alvin Bragg with the Stormy Daniels case. We know Jack Smith is on deck, waiting for the Supreme Court to make their decision down in regards to the documents case. And we know what is her name? I'm getting all these folks' names. What is the girl down in Fulton County, the African-American woman that was sleeping with her? What is the hell? Not Letitia. There's so many of these folks. What is the woman's name? Fannie Willis. There you go. So can Trump get a fair trial in any of these cases? That's what we're asking. Can Trump get a fair shake by the courts? Looking in the comments real quick, my silver squad don't fall for this scam. I don't know what that means. Please let's get Trump back in there. He's not the best, but he's way better than what we got now, says Silver Squad. Well, a lot of folks agree with you. By the way, tap the screen. Get your boy on up to 20, better yet 30,000 likes. Almost 1,000 of you in here. Appreciate that. You could be anywhere you want to be. Certainly a pleasure having you here with me. Tap the screen. 30,000 likes is possible if you let your thumbs not be lazy to my YouTube audience. Smash that like button if you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle. Without any concern of the host blocking, banning, or censoring you for your opinion, you are in the right place. Feel free to subscribe and certainly smash that like button. Speed Racer, go Speed Racer with the TikTok cap. One of my favorite cartoons as a child. Card number 5. Going to the box. We'll keep it moving with DJ Fly Guy. Can President Trump get a fair trial in the courts? DJ, good afternoon.
What's up, man? What's good, brother?
I get it every time.
You know it. What's up, man?
I love the air horn. Good to ain't talked to you in a while. So what do you think? Can Trump get a fair trial?
Yeah, man. I mean,
Hold on, Fly Guy. Hold on, hang on a second. We got a problem. This happens often on TikTok because I don't see you in the box. The guest cannot hear you. Drop out and I'll bring you back on. Nobody can.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'll go ahead and we'll try and make it happen. This I don't know why it happens on TikTok like that, but we'll give it a moment to clear up. I don't see him in it yet. We'll go back to him in a second, but we'll keep the program moving. Happens all the time. What is a fair trial, Alfreda Kimbrough? A trial where you don't feel like the fix is already in. Clinton, you got a very loud background.
Okay. Give me just a second.
All right.
Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you, but your background is really loud.
I'm at work. Give me just a second.
Okay, I'll give you a second because you're also...
All right, I'm going out the door.
Okay, all right. You mean like the 2 is already gone through, totally being biased and unfair. User 108, that's kind of what we're talking about. We'll give Clinton a minute. Yeah, that's a hell of a lot better. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of noisy.
Yeah. So what do you think? Can Trump get a fair trial?
I don't think you're talking about New York.
We're talking about period.
I don't think he did. I mean, look at New York. They changed the rules. Statute of limitations.
Well, that didn't just apply to Trump, though.
Yeah, I mean, it don't just apply to him, but it just came up when his case came up. I mean, that's kind of catch-20 on that one.
Well, but keep in mind, Bill Cosby got convicted and actually spent time in prison for a very old case. I think R. Kelly is going to spend the rest of his life in jail for a very old case. Music mogul Puff Daddy is dealing. I mean, that's not just happening to Trump.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's not just Trump, but I mean, you know, a lot of things are coming out the pasture, I guess you'd say. But, you know, I really wanted to get on here because I'm on just, you know, I just got a very few short little break to talk, but I want to comment on what the lady said before the last guy.
Okay, real quick, go ahead.
If you didn't mind. Yeah, you know, she was saying there wasn't no border crisis in Arizona. The guy before her said there was. Okay, she said Caucasian males.
Yeah.
She sees more of them begging. You know, yeah, you see it funny too. You know, I'm a 49-year-old Caucasian male. I'm not taking up for anybody. You have lazy people in black, white, Hispanic, all nationalities.
Yeah.
Every one of them. And the thing about it is, I'm 49. I work in Alabama. I'm a welder. Everybody
Okay.
thinks welders make good pay. Well, down south, you don't unless you do certain types of welding.
Well, wait, but let me respond to that. Everybody thinks welders make good pay because up north they're pro-union, and a lot of their places they do. A lot of the low pay is because of how your politics are down south. You guys right to work, you're anti-union, you're in favor of big business.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, it's like, you know, I work with Hispanic people in here, and I work with Caucasians. I work with African Americans, and I'll say 99% everybody in here is pretty hard working.
Okay.
But you got a couple of bad apples, and you know, she was saying that she's seeing Caucasian males beg more than anybody. I've never begged anybody for nothing. I've earned my way. And I mean, I know a lot of I've got black friends who's earned their way. I've got Hispanic friends who earned their way. So she really can't pick on the Caucasian race, you know.
Well, wait a minute, Clinton, wait, hold on a second. I'll tell you, for living on the south side of Chicago, most of the people in my neighborhood that committed a drive-by was black. That don't mean I'm taking on the whole race. That means I'm telling you what I observed seeing. If she's telling you what she sees is begging Caucasians, she don't mean white people worldwide. She's saying in her area, the majority of the people she see asking for money or panhandling is white.
Yeah, well, maybe so. I mean, she sees a different part of the country than I see. And, you know, everybody sees different. In Alabama, they do in Georgia, and Georgia's different than Arizona and California. But, you know, one of the things she had talked off on, she had brought up was, it was something about, what was it? It was the main topic, Lord. I done got off on.
Well, let me present that to you. Since you mentioned in the border, the main topic is HB 2843, House Bill 2843 in Arizona, that allows the citizens to use lethal force on an immigrant if they're on their property. Do you support that?
I wouldn't unless it's deadly, like defending yourself. That's it.
Okay, so just if you wake up in the morning, you hear some noise in your backyard, or you see somebody roaming through the field, you don't believe you should have the right to use your rifle on them?
No, unless they're stealing or threatening your life. No.
So what if they're stealing? What if let's say you have a bike over by the shed and they know a bike can help them travel further quickly, so they're stealing your kid's bike. Should you be able to take their life?
I guess I'd shoot them in the leg. I wouldn't shoot them to kill them.
You do know that can be lethal, right?
Well, yeah, it can be lethal, but they can't ride that bicycle with one leg, one good leg either.
So at the end of the day, then you do believe you can use you do believe you should be allowed to use lethal force to protect at the very least property.
Well, I think you should be able to use force, but not deadly force. How about that?
Okay, what do you mean by force but not deadly force?
Well, like, you know, you tell them to stop, and then, you know, they turn around, they got a gun, yeah, shoot them, you're protecting yourself. But if you say, hey, stop, and you try to get your property back, and they run off, no, I don't think you should be able to take their life.
Okay, all right. So any idea what? Go ahead.
Oh, I apologize. But real quick, what I was going to say was she said something about a lot of Americans wouldn't work certain jobs. That's what I was going to bring up. She said certain jobs because of pay. Now, when I worked here before, because I worked here twice, I had a Hispanic friend of mine. We were mutual work friends and everything, but we didn't hang out after work. He was griping because they took like $38 a week out of his check, and I said, man, they're taking like over 200 and something out of my check. And we can't. And the topic, what the other fellow was talking about is Americans can't work. We're taxed to death. We can't work for a certain amount. We have to have enough to support our family, pay our taxes, and then not have to give everything to everybody in different countries. I mean, I just think that's wrong.
I hear that all the time, Clinton, but I got to say this. Americans, considering the fact that America is one of the wealthiest countries on earth, if not the wealthiest, we sure do complain about money a lot. We're talking about we get taxed, that we get the shit taxed out of us. There are plenty of countries that don't get taxed what we do, and none of them are places we'd rather go. We're like the wealthiest country or the wealthiest person on the block, always complaining about money problems.
Well, I mean, it's probably the rich folk is not complaining because the poor folk, they scraping by right now.
No, the rich folks complain too. That's when you hear about don't give universal health care or don't give welfare because of socialism. The wealthy people are the first. That's why you don't have a minimum wage increase. It's because of which the rich people have been complaining about it.
Well, you're right. I mean, the rich is going to complain because they want to get richer, but the poor, they want to make a little more to get by in life. I don't want to be rich. I just like enough. I make enough to get by week to week. I'm a week to week paycheck fellow with 3 kids, single dad, and I see jobs that Americans would do, but they can't afford to because how many taxes they can't pay their bills.
So is it safe to say when it comes to dealing with the border, if you had to choose, you think that Trump might be more effective than Biden?
Every bit of it.
All right. You're not the only one. I appreciate you coming on, Clinton. First time talking.
Thank you, brother. You have a blessed day, man.
You too. Appreciate it. All right. Going back to the box, not worry if I can get a drink after working 8 hours. Okay, rev up. I don't know what that said. In other words, you don't give a damn about anything as long as you can get a drink. Leslie, thank you for the TikTok cap asking, can Trump get a fair trial? And obviously we're talking about House Bill 2843, allowing Arizonians to use lethal force on immigrants if they have a suspicion that they were trespassing on their property. Oddly enough, this is doing all right by the Republican Congressional House in Arizona, but I haven't heard from one person yet that supports it. How many of you folks, MAGA or even traditional Republicans, support Arizona's bill allowing you to use lethal force on an illegal immigrant? I'm surprised more people ain't supporting it because it is coming from the Republican side of the aisle, and there's not a lot of pushback on right-wing media. They passed a law allowing a child to identify as another gender. It's all over right-wing media. You want to put CRT in schools, it's all over right-wing media. We're talking about killing folks. We're talking about killing folks for trespassing. I don't see any instance of this being discussed on right-wing media. So my assumption is there's a hell of a lot of supporters. I'm just not running into them. Going back to the box, MAGA will die in 2024, says C. Clark on YouTube. How? Are you suggesting that if Biden wins, that's the end of MAGA? We can talk about that, but that's a pretty harsh term. Doesn't matter who it is, someone is trespassing on your property. You have a right to defend your property, says Barb Clark. Actually, no, you don't. No, you don't. If you got a house and I open up your gate and come on your property, you can't just blast me. Shout out to all of the DoorDash and mail folks in Amazon delivery workers. This could actually end up not going very well. Simply for suspicion of trespassing, you could take somebody's life. What states allow that? In the comments says, yeah, you do in New Hampshire. Barb, you're saying that in New Hampshire, if somebody just is on your property, you can take their life. That's all it takes. You step 1 foot on my property, bam. Is that what you're telling me in New Hampshire, that the law allows you to do that? Wow. Going back to the box, and I see some folks are saying, yeah, others saying BS. Texas allows it, doesn't it? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I mean, how many of you folks, and I'll go right back to the box, but I have to ask this. How many of you folks looking for an address, driving down the block, realize you're going the wrong way? So you make a J turn or a Y turn, whatever the hell it is. It's been a long time since I had driver's ed, but you know, you pull up in somebody's driveway, you bag out and go back down the street the other direction. You're on their property. How many of us have done that? Just about everyone that lives in an urban area. You can shoot or take someone's life for being on your property, because when you drive in their driveway, you are trespassing. That's property that is, they own that property. Where does it end? Where does it end? Going back to the, no, you're saying no, it's too extreme, Leslie, but who gets to decide? The bill says suspicion of trespassing. If you're on my property making a J turn, how do I know you weren't going to spring out with 2 or 3 people, either run into my garage and steal something or come in my house and harm me? Anyone can interpret this any kind of way. Going back to the box, Moo, the tuxedo cat. Good afternoon, Moo. We're talking about Trump getting a fair trial, and once again, the box is acting up.
Oh, I'm here though, man.
Yeah, and the problem is, I don't think I'm gonna be able to, because I don't see you. So,
I'm here though.
huh?
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm talking to you, but I don't know if the folks can you guys hear him? I know on YouTube they can, but can you folks hear him? If you can hear him, we'll continue it on. No, they can't hear you, Moo. I'll drop you and bring you back. I don't know why TikTok keeps doing this shit, but we'll make it happen again. Moving on real quick. While he's coming through, we'll go straight to Lawrence. This has happened on TikTok all the time. The funniest man. Can't see. Okay, Lawrence.
Yo, handsome.
Hey, good afternoon. So,
How you doing?
I'm doing good. We're asking 2 questions. First question is, do you think Trump can get a fair trial in the courts?
I don't care if he does or not.
Wait, he's a citizen. You don't care if an American citizen gets a fair trial?
Not him.
Why not? What's wrong with Trump?
I don't think he's been too fair to people in the past. His beliefs, man, are way out there. That 2025 project deal, I've been hearing a lot of stuff about it. He wants to federalize the police. That means that they have total immunity. They can kill you. You can't do nothing back to them. Your parents can't take that or complain against them or anything. So,
but has Trump himself publicly endorsed Project 2025?
I haven't seen him do it yet.
Then maybe he's not for it.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to take that chance. I got a lot of people talking about staying home because they don't like either politician. I mean, that's crazy.
Now, let me ask you this then. In the comments, Trey Johnson says, liberals want a civil war. Bring your pronoun rainbow army and see what happens. What do you do with a comment like that?
Don't come to my doorstep with that. That's all I'm telling you.
Are you saying you're gonna treat him like an immigrant that's trespassing?
Hell yeah, we can get it. Listen, though, I don't want no civil war. To me, the Republicans, they're the ones calling for civil war. You know, they're the ones shit in the Capitol and spread the feces everywhere. Come on, man. They're not respecting America like they say.
Wow. So at the end of the day, I guess I'd ask your opinion. What do you think happened on January 6th?
No, that was an insurrection, man, big time. You know, they took the American flag and put a Trump flag in the spot. Come on, man.
Yeah. Kind of sounds like a bad version of Iwo Jima. They replaced the flag with a Trump flag. Do you see Trump though is being responsible for January 6th?
Yes, I do.
if you remember, he says, everybody come on out. It's going to be wild. This was months before it even went down. And like I said, he only had a permit for the ellipse. He told them to go down to the Capitol. He said, go down to the Capitol. I'll be there with you.
But he did say, but he did say go peacefully though, Lawrence. He didn't. I mean, you got Capitol Police on video peacefully letting folks in. What about all of that?
Well, I say when they start moving that gate, I think they knew they was going to get overran anyway. They didn't think they was going to break windows out to get in. You know, and I think some of the Capitol Police could have been in on it.
Yeah. So why aren't they being held accountable? Are they just, is it only a target to get MAGA? I mean, if the Capitol Police are in on it, why are they getting the pass when they're giving MAGA these long sentences?
Man, I have no idea. I can't even answer that one. That's a good question.
So at the end of the day, maybe perhaps MAGA is not getting a fair trial. Maybe they are getting railroaded. Now, I'm not saying what they did on January 6th was not felonious, but maybe they are getting hammered a little harder than they should.
No, I think they should get hammered because you think about it. They said that BLM was came to the Capitol the year before, and you couldn't even see the steps because there was that many law enforcement.
Damn.
It was it was that many law enforcement already there when they showed up, and everything was peaceful the whole day.
Well, I think some of that is because the protesters on January 6th, unlike BLM, was invited there by the president. He was currently the president in the White House. So BLM organizing came there on their own. So I think that might have something to do with it. Okay, Lawrence, I don't know what happened, but your signal, you got real loud or something. We're moving on, but I don't know if you unplugged your Bluetooth or something. January, now here's an interesting point, and I saw in the comments, Barb on YouTube said, this stream is to disincentivize Trump voters, folks. Disincentivize you how? The whole purpose of this stream, even though I do lean left to some degree, is to show that this is a place where you can actually speak. Oftentimes, MAGA in particular, but traditional Republicans and conservatives as well, find themselves getting blocked, banned, and censored anytime they want to go outside of their own circle and speak. The whole purpose of this is to let you do that here without any censorship, being blocked or banned. Now, if the goal is to find a forum where everybody agrees with you, then no, this is not that type of forum. We don't believe in echo chambers here. We do believe in everyone being able to speak uncensored, but if I want to go to a forum where everybody wears a red hat and they're all criticizing liberals, there are places you can go. Same to Democratic, progressive, and liberals. There are plenty of forums you can go to where everybody hates MAGA, dislikes Republicans, and speaks ill of them. We don't do that here. We let everybody speak. So if having dialogue from both sides of the aisle is something you do not favor, or you find it, not far enough to the right, then I get your point. But we don't run a program like that. We do believe in everybody being able to speak. Looking in the comments, I see A+ says, making me proud. Thank you. Love the hat, brother. Appreciate it. Outstanding showbird. Wow, you YouTubers, thank you for the accolades. Show your boy some love. Smash that like button. Thank you. Going back to the box, every liberal you bring up can't think for themselves. Oh my God. Let me go ahead and raise you one there. If you believe all of my liberals cannot think for themselves, Moo the Tuxedo Cat. I always pull out the Moo card anytime I'm having trouble. Let me smack Moo on the table like the ace of spades. The floor is yours, Moo.
Oh, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
It's a pleasure having you here. Talking about defending property with lethal force. What do you say?
I mean, this law is like every MAGA's wet dream, right? Now they get to unalive brown people just for walking around, It's like MAGA just got their favorite holiday present handed to them, right? Because this is their wet dream right here. right? I get to off brown people with no repercussions.
The purge.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, this is what they want, right? They want to put barbed wire down there. They want them to cut themselves, to hurt themselves. You know, they don't want them to make it here. This is what they want.
Now, MAGA conservatives and Republicans are overwhelmingly Christian, evangelicals. This doesn't sound very Christian-like to me.
I mean, if you're a Christian and you're supporting a guy who never goes to church, holds the Bible upside down, commits grape, right? Like when he was walking down the street with that Bible, I believe he also had the police clear out all the protesters just so he could do that stupid little stunt with his stupid little upside down Bible, right? Trump is not a Christian, yeah. He's not even religious. Yeah. He's a corporatist and he's an atheist.
Wow. I can't say he's an atheist, but there is a YouTube clip of him saying he has never asked God for forgiveness in his entire life. So yeah. I got to agree with you. It doesn't sound very Christian-like. So let me go on to the second topic of this. Can Trump get a fair trial in the courts?
I mean, you know, he'll get as fair a trial as any other citizen will. Again, it's a jury that's going to decide his fate in a criminal trial. So, you know, I guess you're not in favor of people having a trial by their peers if you don't think he can get a fair trial. His trial's going to go just like anybody else's. You know.
Well, there's so many people that think differently. Now, real quick in the comments, Straight No Chaser says, "Moo the tuxedo is so one-sided, I'm out." Now, before I brought Moo up, all of my liberals couldn't think for themselves. Now you get a definitive version of the liberal party, and all of a sudden, well, now, damn, he's too much for me.
It's just like how Joe Biden is weak and he doesn't have cognitive ability, but yet he's also a mastermind plotting Trump's downfall, right? So they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They'll just say any shit that pops into their head at any given moment, right?
I gotta say, in regards to this one particular viewer, that does seem to be the case. I mean, yeah. You asked for a free-thinking liberal.
They say they're Christian, right? But now they want to throw women and doctors in jail over embryos, right? And like I always say, life begins in my ball sack, right? So my sperm are alive, so I guess ban masturbation, right? Oh, but that's men. So we can't do that. We only want to attack women. So now embryos are babies too. You people are off your fucking rockers, man. Seriously.
Then why are there so many women voting right, Moo? If they're doing all this to women.
I mean, what's so many women? Biden has the woman vote right now. I don't know where that's coming from.
There's plenty of Republican candidates in these lower down ballot races that are winning. I mean, if they lost the women vote, you would have.
I mean, you've seen what's happening in the local elections because of their abortion stance. So I don't think what you're saying to me holds any water right now.
Okay. Let me explain to you what I'm saying. If the Republicans did not have the women's vote, you should have Democratic state cases as well. The Democrats should be winning, you know, the Congress or the Senate body in your state. Democrats should be winning across the board. Because it's not just the president that's passing.
Lots of state local elections because of the abortion issue. So
okay,
you know.
So you do believe that the Democrats are overwhelmingly going to get the women's vote?
I mean, you know, it's very hard to tell because right now you have surveys out saying 1 in 3 Americans want a dictatorship. So I can't tell you how things are going to go. I'm hoping that the Democrats do, but you know, you've neglected the middle class for like 50 plus years. And now you have a rise in fascism, and that's what happens when you have poor stupid people all over the place, right? You get fascists.
Well, we have, but 50 plus years, it's not like the Republicans have been running the country the whole time. I mean, we had 8 years of Obama, we got 4 years of Biden. That's 12 years.
And I'm not saying the Republicans are the only ones. The Democrats have ignored the middle class too, right? The Democrats used to be the party of the middle class people, and then Clinton took over and made them corporatist, right? That's mostly Clinton's fault.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Now, real quick in the comments, we talked about the women's vote. Alicia, who's obviously a woman, says abortion is such a small issue compared to the bigger picture. In other words, women have more things to focus on than just abortion, which means that Biden may not win the women's vote.
I mean, if for her fellow American women, possibly unaliving because they're having a baby that's a danger to their health, or becoming infertile because they can't get an abortion. I mean, if that's a small issue to her, then I would say she has very little love for her fellow Americans and very little love for her fellow women. That's on her.
Well, I think come election time, it's probably going to surprise you. I mean, if women think that this is setting them back that far, I don't see the strength of the protest, in my opinion, that we should see. There are women that are speaking out about it, but if you really think they're taking you back to the 1950s, there should be more women, more unity on this issue. I'm not seeing it.
I mean, I'm seeing it. Like I said, Democrats have won plenty of local elections, and rulings, court rulings, new laws, based on the fact that Republicans are trying to federally ban abortion. It's been happening all over the place since they started going after women's productive rights. So,
Well, they claim that it's just returning the rights to the states. They're making an adamant claim that it's not about a federal abortion.
They always like the states when the federal government deal isn't working out for them, right? And then they want the federal government when the states deal don't work out for them. So they flip-flop depending on which one gives them the greatest advantage, right? Sometimes they like state rights when it works for them, and sometimes they like federal law when it works in their favor. That's how they work.
All right, fair point. All right, Moo. There you are, folks, a free-thinking liberal. In fact, he's progressive, far left than I am. But
I want to say one thing right now, because you had one of your viewers say to me that it's a conspiracy theory that I don't want Trump getting a hold of AI, right? So if this is a conspiracy theory, tell me why Tyler Perry just closed out his $800 million studio deal, because he knows that AI is going to take over Hollywood. Why did he do that if this is a conspiracy theory, folks?
didn't know that. Thank you for that information, Moo. Always a pleasure. Appreciate it. Now, you too. Now, in the comments on YouTube, I wanted to point to a comment someone said. I can't, what does that say? I can't pronounce the name. Super something. It says, Joe Biden is a top funder of the Ku Klux Klan. Joe Biden is a top funder of the Ku Klux Klan and the, I can't even pronounce the second word, sound like some kind of German organization or something, and served on the side of the British during the Pig War. Joe Biden, a top funder of the Ku Klux Klan. This is the type of stuff I hear on social media. Now, listen, there are a lot of folks who believe Biden has done and said some racially suspicious shit, but in 2024, Biden, who was appointed the first black female Supreme Court justice, he's responsible for the first black female vice president. He has LGBT members and Muslims on his cabinet. It would make no sense at all for somebody to support the Ku Klux Klan that's doing all of that. That just, your eyes don't match what your ears are being told. Now, if you had said that in 1950 or something, we could talk about it. But in 2024, President Biden being on board with the KKK makes no sense at all. If it wasn't for Biden, you likely would not have as many brown people in the country. You may have gotten a Muslim ban that Trump was pursuing. You certainly would not have as much favorable laws being passed for the LGBT community. It doesn't fit what you're actually seeing to suggest Biden is a racist. All of these groups that are gaining a little bit more independence and freedom, they fear Trump. They don't, where are the LGBT members and trans for Trump? Where are they at? Biden? The KKK? I mean, listen, maybe it's true, but it doesn't fit what you're actually looking at. I mean, it's one of those don't believe your lying eyes type thing. Looking in the comments, we should focus on follow the money. Who is getting the money? Shit, there's people getting the money no matter what you do. What do you mean follow the money? Every war we get in, somebody's getting paid. I mean, it's always about following. I mean, I get it, follow the money, but each candidate, each politician just gives you a different trail on where the money goes. They're all corrupt. Many folks believe that Trump was going to get in and drain the swamp and expose corruption. Some folks believe he did. They had to tell him to stop using his own properties to solicit dignitaries to come and stay in. They staying at your hotel using your golf courses. He was making money too. You got Biden, they suggest, are taking money from the Ukraine, but it didn't end with Trump. So that's the point I'm trying to make. It's not like Trump got in there and all of a sudden we finally found somebody who's not going to get paid while they're in office. He was doing it too. So it doesn't matter if you follow the money. It's just going to give you a different trail depending on who the politician is. Trump doesn't have 400 million and can't get it, says DeAndre. I would be more likely to believe maybe he doesn't have 400 million right on him, but I don't believe he can't get it. I do believe he could get 400 million. I do believe that part. Going back to the box, a lot of folks have a lot to gain if Trump is reelected. I think he could raise 400 million. There's a lot of folks that really, really want Trump reelected. Going back to the box, DJ Fly Guy, we'll try it again. We tried to bring him up last time. We had problems with the box. Appreciate you folks tapping the screen. Get your boy up to around 70,000. Over 1,000 of you here for my YouTubers. Smash that like button. The problem is the interest. Yeah, Trump is paying $2.6 million per month in interest. So he's filed an appeal. I would blow. Thank you for that heart, by the way. He's filed an appeal on E. Jean Carroll and Letitia James case. I don't even know what E. Jean Carroll's getting, but on the Letitia James case, $2.6 million in interest every month on that 335 until they either lower it or he wins or something else. So if he loses, it would have to be the most expensive appeal in history. Let's say he appeals Letitia James and it goes out for 7-8 months or something. And remember, that's a state case. So even if he becomes president again, there's no guarantee he can interfere with that and make it go away like some of the federal cases. So let's say he appeals it, 9 months, a year, 2-3 years, he loses the appeal. Obviously, he'll try to take it to the Supreme Court. But he's paying $2.6 million in interest, which that'll grow too. The size of the interest will grow until he pays that off. If he loses at the end of all of that, it could be the most expensive appeal in U.S. history. Going back to the box, Randy says it could be you. Shit, we're gonna pawn this fucking car? What do you mean it could be me? I don't have 335 million. I'll go to the box, but that's one of the funniest things I've heard, is that Trump states they're not after me. They're after you. I'm just in the way. I don't have 335 million. Damn it, they're after you. They ain't after me. You step out of the way and see how much money they gonna collect out of my ass. No, they after you, dude. They ain't trying to get 335 million after me. I don't have no documents. Ain't nobody accusing me of assault. No, they after you, dude. I think they after the white guy this time. But it sounds great. I mean, I'm not going to argue with it. And he might be right in suggesting, listen, there are corrupt systems at play. But when it comes to President Trump suggesting that the justice system is not treating them fairly, that ain't new. He's supposedly exposing it. We could go back 40 years. Certainly with the African American community, they were complaining about that shit from day one. We go back to Edgar Hoover. They were complaining that the FBI was corrupt. That ain't new. That he's complaining that the system is mistreated. They've always complained about that. In fact, when people of color were saying that the system was corrupt as hell, the common response is if you comply with the law, you won't have a problem. So now that it's happening to Trump, suddenly, well, he's in the way. Listen, I could not disagree with that point more than that. But continuing the program on, systemic corruption not apply to Trump, but applies to all incarcerated black men. Yikes. You should reposition your perspective. Give me a reason why. Perhaps I might. Feel free to elaborate on that. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. This is civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any concern of the host block, banning, or censoring you. So if you enjoy a free speech program with participants from both sides of the aisle, program is MAGA friendly, by the way. Feel free to smash the subscription button on YouTube, smash that like button, of course. Same thing with my TikTokers, nearly 1,000 of you in here. Tap the screen. Going back to the box, I would block you. I think that says good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing good. What is
being
your,
able to speak with you?
yeah, what is the name there? I would block. What does that say?
I would block me too.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, all right.
So
Now,
the floor is yours.
all right, going back to Biden being a top funder of the KKK. Look, I'm a conservative, but come on, man. As Biden would say, come on, man. For real. This dude served under Obama. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with that? Miss me with that.
Yeah.
Miss me with that. All right, I don't think Biden is as bad as everybody's making him out to be. I don't think he's a great leader. I don't think he's a great leader at all, and Trump is definitely my guy. I have my reasons for that, you know.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, come on. Top funder of the KKK. Where are they getting this stuff, man?
Listen.
For real, this bothers me. It's stuff like this that drives division in our nation.
Well, let me interrupt and say this. Hold on, let me interrupt and say this. Even though that may sound crazy, you do realize Trump himself is holding rallies saying that Biden is a racist.
Yeah, I get that. And, you know, sometimes Trump needs to shut the F up. Like, really, dude, shut up.
Yeah.
Enough. Like, you're my guy, but there's only so much of what you say I can defend. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, well,
Like,
I was surprised to see him say. Now, I was surprised to see him say that, but in the comments, I do see folks saying Biden's BFF was Robert Byrd. That came from Barb Clark. Real quick, and I'll let you continue. I would block me, but real quick, in regards to Robert Byrd, Senator Byrd, he was a member of the KKK, and he did have a relationship, or Biden had a relationship with him. But there's a part of that story that never comes out, and that is that Senator Byrd, before his death in 2010, reconciled with the African American community, started supporting the NAACP. Jesse Jackson, Barack Obama. I think Barack Obama even eulogized his funeral, but they all were there. None of that comes out. When we talk about Biden and Byrd, they skip over the fact that all of the civil rights leaders at the time were fans of Byrd at the point of his death and the end of his life. That never comes up. But understand, there, you can quickly look it up, that the African American community, the civil rights version of it, were friends with Byrd. So don't just bring up that Joe Biden spent time with Byrd. Bring up that Jesse Jackson and Obama hung around him too. All right, I would block you.
all right. Yeah, no, I mean, he was definitely the Grand Wizard of the KKK. He was not just a member.
Okay.
But I mean, like he tried to reconcile. You know, I mean, he changed his ways. You know, you gotta respect somebody for at least making an attempt at reconciliation.
Yeah.
You know, you saw the error of your ways. You know what you were up to was wrong. You tried to reconcile. I mean, you still did what you did. Yeah, I'm not going to forget that, but you tried to reconcile, and you got to have a little bit of respect for that.
Yeah, but you also realize people were going to bring up that David Duke supported President Trump, and as opposed to Trump denouncing the guy in the beginning, he tried to pretend like he didn't know who he is. Now, David Duke was a former presidential candidate, so the idea that Trump, who's, you know, in his late 70s, don't even know who the man is, makes no sense. Nick Fuentes showing up to his home with Kanye West. Once again, he didn't know who the hell that guy is. But at the end of the day, when Trump is pinned against the wall, his first response, I don't know who this person is. He goes, Shaggy. It wasn't me. Because he said the same thing about Stormy Daniels and E. Jean Carroll. He's known for saying he don't know people, that when the people have evidence, they, hell yeah, you do know me. So you say Trump, and there are legitimate reasons to support Trump, but as you are admitting, if the issue is racism and Biden is such a racist, some of that doesn't make sense.
No, none of it makes sense. All right, none of it makes sense, but let's be honest here. Every politician has had those people in their background that they say, oh, I don't know this guy, I don't know anything about him, just deny. And it's not a terrible policy to try to deflect attention from that. You know, sometimes it works. I mean, you don't know if it's going to work unless you try it, and you can't fault the man for trying, okay? But at the same time, like, I got a set of eyes. I see you. I know what you're doing. I like your policies, but anyway, I got to drop.
All right. Well, I had some questions, but come on back anytime. I appreciate you coming through, and thank you for your generosity, man. Moving the program on. Somebody says, who cares? Trump doesn't care about any of us. I think there's about 74 million people that would disagree with you. Trump still has a hell of a lot of support. Not to mention the border bungle is not helping Biden. What's going on at the border is not favorable to Biden. That's why he's going down to the border. I think that more Americans believe that Trump would be more effective at dealing with the border crisis than Biden. So I think Biden has ignored the border for too long. Now, I'm not taking away from the fact that there was a bipartisan bill proposed, and Trump convinced him not to sign it. Gives Biden a little bit of pushback, but that doesn't excuse 3 years of nothingness, doing nothing for 3 years. Talking about Biden, that doesn't excuse that. Looking in the comments, just as many love him, just as many hate him, says Jay Henry. That's an excellent response. I mean, mentioned 74 million love Trump. He's 74 million hate his ass too. We'll see what happens come election time. Marie KS with the subscription. Always endeared to those who subscribe to the program. I see you in the box. You certainly come up. I do appreciate that. A subscription for the day makes my day. Only reason Biden is going to the border is it's an election year. Clinton Walston, even as someone who leans left, I can't disagree with you. I cannot disagree with you. We know that Kamala refused to go to the border for, I think, the first year or two of their administration. I gotta agree that it does look like the Biden administration did not take the border seriously, and it may be too late. I can't disagree with that. Going back to the box, Kamala. I get it, JR. Okay, so not Kamala, Kamala. All right. Give me some time. I say it right sometime. The other times I forget. Every time I hear Kamala, for you folks who are old enough, WWF fans, not WWE, WWF. Remember the guy with the moon and the star on his belly? Dark guy of African descent. What's his name? Kamala or Kamala? Or you guys got to be WWF fans. I might be dating myself. Going back to the box. Y'all ain't up on that shit. Going to Randy in the comments. Appreciate you folks tuning in. Let's talk about Chunk's taxes. Who is Chunk? Talk about Chunk's tax. Randy, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. You're really low. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay. We're talking about Trump. Can he get a fair shake in the courts?
He hasn't got a fair shake. No.
Why do you say that?
Well, just look at the case. I mean, if he can't get a fair shake, no president can get a fair shake. Every president will get prosecuted when they come out of office.
What has happened so far that leads you to believe he hasn't gotten a fair shake? What happened that was unfair to Trump?
Well, he wasn't able to call any witnesses. He wasn't able to defend himself. Nobody was hurt. All the creditors that they said that he defrauded, all of them testified in his behalf. He paid back his loans. He did everything he was supposed to do.
So you're saying it's a bit harsh when it's a victimless crime?
Absolutely.
So let me run this by you. President Biden's son, talking about Hunter Biden, he applied for a firearm in the state of Delaware. put on the firearms application he did not have any issues with narcotics. We know that's not true. He was able to obtain a firearm. He had the firearm in his possession for a short period of time. Did not commit any crimes or anything with the gun. They went after him. I want to ask you, in that case, who was the victim? He took out an application, lied on it, got rid of the gun. No crimes were committed with the gun. Who was the victim in that? Because folks on the right want him charged for that.
You can't lie on a federal firearms application.
Who is the victim, though, Randy? That's what I'm at. We talking about victimless crimes. Because keep in mind, what Trump is being charged with is lying on bank documents. He's also being charged with lying on documents.
You know, I don't know about that.
You don't know about him stating that his property was worth so much to get a loan, and then when it was time to pay taxes, saying he was worth a hell of a lot less to pay less taxes? You don't know about it? You ain't heard none of that?
Well, I mean, they're saying that what Mar-a-Lago's worth $18 million. Come on.
I'm just simply saying, lying on documents. Because I asked you the question in regards to Hunter Biden. Who is the actual victim?
Well, if you went and you applied for a firearm and you lied on a document to get a firearm, they would come after you.
Okay. So at the end of the day, you're admitting that you're admitting that no victim doesn't necessarily mean anything. You can be arrested for victimless crime.
Well, if you lie on a document, absolutely.
Okay, so the idea that Trump's case is unfair because there's no victims, we can get that one out the way. We can talk about other stuff, but you've come to the conclusion that having no victims does not exclude you from arrest.
Well, are you saying that if they weren't trying to go after Hunter Biden, then that would make Trump still okay?
No, I'm not defending Hunter Biden at all. I believe if he lied on an application and that's a federal crime, they should go after him. I'm not putting Biden on a pedestal. I'm just using Hunter Biden's case because a lot of folks defending Trump say, well, there's no victim. And I'm giving them their number one criminal that they want to go after. He's being charged for a victimless crime, and they're totally okay with it.
Are you okay with what they're doing to Trump in New York and Georgia?
Well, what's happening in New York has been certainly with the E. Jean Carroll case. Let's start with the E. Jean Carroll. We can go to Letitia James and then down to Fannie Willis in Fulton County, Georgia. But in regards to E. Jean Carroll, all he had to do, and I think Chris Christie, who, is no fan of Trump, and Trump is no fan of Chris Christie, he stated it perfectly. All he had to do was say, listen, I don't know what this woman been through. I wish her the best, and just left it at that. E. Jean Carroll wrote a tell-all book about Trump assaulting her, and she stated on CNN, I was never going to claim rape or anything. I put what I went through in a book, and Trump decided to start attacking me, which is where the defamation case came from. Trump would have never had to deal with E. Jean Carroll in court at all if he didn't start attacking a woman. And then when he lost the first defamation case, he decided to double down and do it some more. So in regards to E. Jean Carroll, your question is what happened to Trump, fair or not? It was not even something that should have happened. It was totally avoidable. All you had to do was not run his mouth.
I think, personally, for me, I think that all of this stuff with Trump and Hunter Biden and all that, it's only creating more diversity for our country. It's not accomplishing anything.
So do you see do you see Biden as being divisive? You see Trump as being a unifier? Do you see them both as being divisive?
Well, I definitely see both of them being divisive. I mean, Biden says that he's the president of all the people. He's the unifier, but he goes around dividing people constantly. So we just all have to know that we don't own this world. God owns this world.
So then let me ask you this. If you clearly see both Biden and Trump as divisive, why not Vivek, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis? Why not pick someone else?
Well, I was personally a Vivek fan.
Oh, all right. So is it safe to say that out of those 9, you believe the party got it wrong going with Trump?
No, I just think that people think that Trump is strong and that he'll stand up and do what needs to be done. Whether or not, I mean, my take on it is that he had 4 years to do what he needed to do, even though he was under constant scrutiny from the time he became president. I don't know of anybody any president that could withstand that kind of scrutiny. So it's been a tough go, but we all need to unify and be brothers and sisters and look after each other's interests and not be so divisive.
I don't disagree with you, but in regards to Trump being attacked from day one, you would admit that he also did a hell of a lot of attacking on his own, right?
Well, I don't know that. I don't remember Trump attacking anybody whenever he first became the president.
Let me give you some examples and you tell me what you think. Barack Obama is born in Kenya. He did that for 3 years. You don't see any attacking him on at all, suggesting the guy should be disqualified from being president.
That's exactly, yes, sir. You're right.
That is when you say Trump encountered trouble from day one. The whole Barack Obama was born in Kenya is negative years. So when he started at year 0 as president, he already had a couple years of him attacking the former guy under his belt already.
I go back to everybody. We talk about Martin Luther King, and we talk about people over the years that have been people that have tried to bring in unity, and we celebrate these people. But then we celebrate them for one day, and the next day we go right back to being divisive again. We need to stop that. We need to come together and be one American. We've always had policies since I was a young man that people didn't agree with, or
but Randy, we're not talking we're talking bird brain. We're talking Ron DeSanctimonious. We're talking Sleepy Joe, crazy Bernie, nervous Nancy. Can you unify while doing that?
That's tough. You can't go around calling people names. You have to be a little more presidential.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, all right. Well, and I think you and I agree on that. I'm with you. I'm 100% behind unity. But you can't complain that everybody's attacking me when I can rattle off all that shit from the top of my head. And I haven't even gotten to the most overrated general in the world and all. I mean, it's too much of that for you to get unity. Everyone I named is a high-powered individual with a lot of fans behind them. So if the goal is to unify, that has to end no matter who's doing it. Would you not agree?
Well, you have to agree that without unity, it doesn't really matter who the president is. And really, when you think beyond the box, it's really not that important. We need to vote more conscientiously with local elections and Congress and the Senate. Even more than the presidency.
I don't disagree with that, but you can't ignore division coming from the top. No army is going to unify with a divisive general. It has to start at the top.
That's right. The president is a speaker for the people.
Fair enough, Randy. Appreciate you coming through. Always welcome back. All right, moving the program on. Appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen. 1,100 of you here. If you let your thumbs not be lazy, we may be able to get over 100,000 likes. So show your boy some love. For my YouTube viewers, Feel free to smash that like button. It's always harder to get folks on YouTube to do that, but smash that like button, certainly, if you will, a subscription. The Democrats just want war all the time. People to not be able to live in houses. They want groups in segregation so they can control the population. They don't want people to be united, says Patrick. Wow. How many of you folks agree? Do you see where the Democrats are constantly seeking division and the Republicans are constantly seeking to unite? That's what I'm getting from Patrick on YouTube. It's all the Democrats. The Democrats are the ones that want war. I'm assuming the Iraq war started by Obama. Maybe it all began in the Clinton administration. We're going to skip over Bush, obviously. The Democrats. Okay, all right. Going back to the box, and I see Skeeter says I don't agree. Listen, I allow the people to speak. It's all about free speech here. Continuing on, we'll make it happen with Meta Brolic. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Trump train. MAGA is going to go down in history as the first political cult. Rodo, that's awful. Political cult. But I can't pronounce the name.
I didn't mean to join. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll drop you. Appreciate you coming in anyway. Looking in the comments, the first political cult. You guys don't think MAGA is a cult, do you? Come on now. What about protecting the sanctity of life, protecting the border, the party of law and order? By way of yes or no, how many of you folks think MAGA is a cult? Wow, talking Jim Jones. By way of yes or no in the comments, how many of you folks think MAGA is a cult? I'm assuming there's going to be a bunch of no's. Actually, it looks like it's the opposite. I see it on YouTube, so Ricardo says no. It's a lot of yeses on TikTok, though. Yikes, a cult. So what happens if we get him again for 4 more years? You're telling me his followers are zombies? That's frightening. FSU, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. MAGA is not a cult, is it, FSU? Right?
Well, hey, if it looks like a cult and it acts like a cult, I'll say that.
What leads you to believe that MAGA is a cult? Give me some examples. Elaborate.
I mean, when you see somebody commit a crime and your response is, well, somebody else did it also. I mean, even Trump himself is, one thing he'll say about these cases is he doesn't say that he's innocent. You know, his whole point is, hey, let me try to get into office and see if I can just make these cases go away. He won't come in and say, you know, I didn't do it. And that's a problem.
Well, what if Trump is facing charges that other folks who have done the same thing, which is what Kevin O'Leary in New York is saying, other folks are doing this stuff and getting away with it, but they're going after Trump. Is Trump being treated unfairly, perhaps?
Well, I want to say a couple things about let's start with the New York case. This is a New York statute. I mean, Republicans are for states' rights. This is a statute that's been on the books, I believe, since the 50s. So they didn't invent something to charge Trump with. This is something that's existed there for a while. And another big thing that
wait a minute. You're saying what E. Jean Carroll used. You're telling me...
No. Letitia James.
Okay.
Like you've already outlined Eugene Carroll. She wrote a book, and he basically pushed her to do a defamation case against him. So I mean that's self-explanatory. I'll let you continue, but just for folks who are tuned in, particularly my beloved MAGA, E. Jean Carroll did not win a rape case against Trump, because that's where folks are, like what me and FSU, the caller, is talking about. She never was going after Trump for rape. She put it in her book. She was going to tell folks it happened, but she wasn't trying to take the man to court for that. She wrote a book about what happened, and that's where Trump stepped in and started saying all kinds of awful shit about her, such as, I wouldn't fuck her or something like that, or that fat pig or whatever. And then she sued him for defamation because he was claiming I never even met her. And she started presenting photos and things like that. He lost $5 million for defaming her, and he doubled down and continued doing it.
and he lost 83 million. So that's what happened in that case. FSU, go.
So yeah, the Letitia James case, that's a statute that's been on the New York books since, 70 years. And another thing that people don't mention is they didn't change the numbers one time. They have it documented. It happened 200 plus times over 10 years between 2010 to 2020. So now he's really guilty. And then the victimless crime part of it is the entire state of New York is victims. The state has a responsibility for anybody doing business in the state to make sure they're doing legitimate business. And we don't have to go back in history to show that people getting loans they don't deserve or don't qualify for, how bad it can be for us, not just a state, for us as a country. The housing crisis happened.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But at the end of the day, is it a case of us just simply playing the blame game? I want you to hear this comment. Naeem Barber, and thank you for the super chat on YouTube, says the problem with both sides is that they try to treat you like your grievances are silly while then crying about people not caring about theirs. Is this just some type of game to make us all hate each other?
I think there is a lot of that going around. Like the border, for example, they try to make that a bigger deal than it actually is. Maybe these the New York case, maybe that state is making it a bigger deal than it actually is. But you know what? The onus is on that attorney general in that state. In that state, they prove their case, and honestly, as a nation, that's a state's issue. So I really don't have a lot. All I know is this isn't a new statute. They have proof that he did it. He cooked the books, and they took the profit, even the damages. They took the amount of profit that he had, and they based their damages off of that profit. You don't get to manipulate the system, make a profit, even if you pay the money back. Act like you didn't commit a crime. He committed a crime, and they sued him. So what? I don't.
So what you're basically saying is that 335 million is not excessive. It's based on how much he profited from doing that.
I'm not saying that. The state of New York is saying that, and I agree. I 100% do. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I don't know. I gotta push back a little bit. I do believe that 335 million is excessive. I believe because Trump acted an ass in I'm not saying jail, but acted an ass in court. You're encouraged. It's just like you or I. If you or I let's say you went to court on $100 speeding ticket, and the whole time you were there, you continued talking shit about the judge. You think you're going to walk out just paying $100? No, you're going to encounter more things that are going to be bestowed upon you. I do believe Trump is an example of that. In the E. Jean Carroll case and in the Letitia James case, I do believe he's giving judges no reason to give him anything less than a max because of how he's acting. Just like if you or I committed a crime, they want to hear remorse. You go in there, you're talking shit, you get the max. So from that aspect, I got to agree with you, but I do believe it's self-inflicted.
Look, if we want to discuss and have a conversation about the damages and where they're excessive, that's a conversation worth having. But again, his innocence, I mean, these are case after case. They're going to prove their case, and I don't see a way out of these cases for him. Like, it's pretty self-explanatory. Did you take funds you were supposed to use for your campaign and pay off some lady? You did or you didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, this has happened before in history. Did you try to manipulate the vote? In Georgia, that's a state's case. That's not even a federal case. Either you did or you didn't. And I think the evidence is going to show that he did.
What about the insurrection? Do you think he actually tried to commit an act of insurrection?
We've talked about this before. I think there has, again, my whole stance is there has never been a protest on that day. That's a day that our country uses to it's a big day in us transferring power. The leader of the Senate, which was the vice president, which was Pence on that day, is in charge of collecting the votes from the individual states and tallying those votes. He is in charge of the Electoral College on that day, and they weren't there with a Pence noose for no reason.
Yeah.
So, and then Trump wasn't calling them to come to Washington on that day for no reason. Will he get found guilty for insurrection? Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a good job of disassociating himself and
I gotta know. Michael Howard on YouTube made it, a simple sentence. He said, there has never been nothing like this in history. And I think that that's kind of working for Trump's favor, that there is nothing compared this to. Nobody's ever did what happened on January 6th before in this country. So, and he has that little plausible deniability line. I said, go there peacefully. He did say that. So I agree with you.
And again, as far as that was just one piece of the puzzle. He tried to call individual states and gets the Secretary of States in those individual states. Georgia was just smart enough to capture the call and record the call. He didn't just do that for Georgia. He called Michigan and did the same thing. They had just already certified their election. So he tried to call the individual states. Then there was a fake elector plot. And so it was multiple attempts to not.
Well, but here's the problem. Here's the problem with the fake electors. You're going to have to prove that they did not have their own nefarious intention. Where they maybe I know if Trump wins again, I'm gonna keep my down ballot office, so I'm cheating on his behalf without him even telling me to do it. So the fake electors is there, but you got to be able to tie what they're doing to Trump. And that's where now Sidney Powell or Mark Meadows may be able to do that, but you got to be able to tie them, because in Wisconsin, they all pleaded guilty to doing that, fake electors in Wisconsin. And I don't even think they got a jail sentence. They just pled guilty, and I think they got probation or something like that. But they were trying to do it in Wisconsin, I think Michigan, Arizona or something like that, and certainly in Georgia. Georgia's the only state that's really going after them gung-ho, but they did try to do that in some of those other states that swung blue.
Yeah, look, Tim, again, will Trump ever see jail time? I doubt it. It'll probably be bad for the country as a whole if he ever does. But his guilt, I don't think is. I mean, maybe not on all 91 charges, but certainly on the lion's share of them. He's as guilty as sin, man.
All right, appreciate you coming in, FSU. Anytime. All right, moving the program on. Thank you for that super chat once again. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name on YouTube. I'll just say 10th, Exoria, something like that. Smart Republicans for Joe Biden 2024. MAGA equals cult. Wow. I haven't seen any signs like that. Smart Republicans for Joe Biden. MAGA equals cult. Damn. I'd like to see how safe it would be to hold that sign up. That's interesting, because you do have blacks for Trump. I think I've seen LGBT for Trump, trans for Trump, which to me makes no sense at all, but trans for Trump. How about Republicans for Joe Biden? That's different. That is different. Wow. Looking in the comments, who was that dummy? No, be kind to the viewers there, JB. Republicans for Joe Biden. Biting. B-I-T-I-N-G. Republicans for Joe Biting, as if he's biting girls or something. I don't know. You guys are crazy. All right, go to the box. It is a political witch hunt that which is found. Jody, I don't know. Look, the idea that every single case Trump is dealing with is a political witch hunt. Here's my take, and I appreciate you folks that are tapping the screen on TikTok, if you will. Over 1,000 of you in here. You get your boy up to around 120,000. You know how the program is ran in an uncensored format. For my YouTube viewers, smash that like button. This civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle. By the way, we are here Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central. That's when the program originates, Monday through Friday. If you enjoy this type of dialogue from both sides of the aisle, feel free to subscribe on YouTube. In regards to the political witch hunt, here is the issue I have. I do believe Trump is facing a little bit of politicization, for lack of a better term. I do believe that if he had rode off into the sunset in early 2021 when Biden was inaugurated, he wouldn't be facing all these cases. I do believe that. I believe even with Letitia James, $335 million, he could have probably paid a hefty fine outside of the limelight. Let's say he was Kevin O'Leary, who keeps coming up. Let's say Kevin O'Leary did some shit like that. I do believe his attorneys could have worked behind the scenes, paid off a few million, and made it go away. Trump's bombastic attitude has a lot to do with why he's dealing with this. So is it political? Yeah, I do believe it is to some degree. Joe, if you don't think that Hunter Biden shit is political, then you're being biased. Hunter Biden is political as well. If Joe Biden had went off into the sunset, as I use with Trump, after being vice president under Obama, let's say Joe Biden never ran for president, you think Hunter Biden would be going through all this shit? No way in hell. Lying on a gun application with no injuries, no crimes committed? At best, he would have paid a little bit of a fine. They would have left him the hell alone. And nobody would have gave a damn about Burisma. So politicization works both ways. If you only see it on the side with Trump, then you're being biased. But Hunter Biden is a whipping boy. The only reason he's going through that shit is because of his dad. That is, he's taking a beating because of his dad. Looking in the box, they thought he would tuck tail and run, but he didn't, as per Trump's, wait a minute, MAGA mission. Trump has in regards to the idea of thinking that Trump would tuck tail and run, he doesn't have any incentive to run. If he runs, the courts are going to catch up with him and bury him. At this point, probably Trump's biggest incentive to be president is to save himself. We all know, and I'll go right back to the box. We all know while we're talking about Trump not getting a fair trial in court, if he wins, court ain't going to be fair for him either. It's just going to be favorable. If Trump gets elected in November, he's going to appoint court officers that are favorable to him. Merrick Garland will be replaced with somebody that is favorable to Trump. They will be properly vetted, probably asked in advance before they get the job. How do you feel about the convictions Trump is going through? They'll say it's all bullshit, it's all a witch hunt, and they'll get the position. And they'll get rid of Jack Smith. So if you believe that Trump is going through some bullshit now, but you favor what I just stated taking place after November, then you're not for a fair and equal justice system. You're for Trump because he's doing the same thing in reverse. Folks believe that Biden, talking about my beloved MAGA, Biden is weaponizing the justice system. If Trump gets elected and starts tailoring the system so that his charges go away, how is he not weaponizing the system as well? He's just doing it to favor him. If you are okay with that, yeah, you're not for an equal justice system. You're for Trump. Going back to the box, appreciate you folks tapping the screen. Farlow 203. The people will get them there, Andy. I don't quite get that. Farlow, good afternoon.
My friend, how are you?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on. We were talking about something earlier. Arizona House Bill 2843 allowing castle doctrine to be extended to property where if someone was on your property, an illegal immigrant, you can now use lethal force if this law passes in Arizona. Would you favor that?
No, because it's lazy on the legislators because they don't want to write actual law. They want the citizens to take over so they can penalize citizens if they make a mistake. If legislators make the law and they make a mistake, then the citizens don't have to pay. Well, actually, they do have to pay because we pay the taxes. So either way, we're screwed.
Yeah, but what about a citizen, a rancher that's on the Arizona border that complains, I see illegals walking on my property all the time, maybe they steal a few things here or there. Do you believe he should be able to protect his property at all?
I think maybe warning shots versus fatally shooting someone. I mean, how are you okay with that? I mean, I don't like trespassers either. It's my property. I understand, but they're just walking through. They're not taking anything. They're not trying to steal anything. They're not trying to harm your family or your animals and stuff like that. That's different because that stuff does happen.
Yeah. Well, I personally am 100% against it, but I brought it up because it is making its way through the Republican Congress in Arizona, and you don't hear about this from right-wing media. They're not, I mean, this is talking about killing people. We can talk about LGBT folks playing for the wrong team or CRT in schools. They're not saying nothing about this. This could involve killing people. Why do you think they're so quiet on it?
Did it pass yet?
No, it's not going to pass. The governor is
let it pass first. Then it's going to be wall to wall breaking news. Trust me. As soon as it goes to the governor's desk and he signs it, CNN, Fox News, everybody, breaking news. Arizona just the most radical law and whatever. You'll see it then.
You're telling me this actually, the fact that it was submitted, you're telling me it actually has to pass before anybody will give a damn about it?
It has to have legs. If it doesn't have legs, then it's nothing. It's just a suggestion.
Well, it actually is getting support down there, though.
It's harder to get things through the Senate. I live in Alabama. The House gets things passed pretty quickly. But when it goes to the Senate, it usually dies there.
Yeah.
So,
but what does that say about the House that they're okay with this?
I have no idea. It might be one of those things where we want to look tough, but we know the Senate's not going to pass it. But, people ain't going to fall for that kind of stuff.
I don't know.
They might, but I wouldn't. I'm like, you're just doing that because it's election year. That's what I would say. I'm a libertarian, though.
Okay.
So I don't have a dog in the fight.
Well, but if you're a libertarian, don't you believe in small government and self-reliance?
Yes, but we also believe people shouldn't trespass on your property either.
Right. So libertarians would be the first to shoot them.
Yeah, killing them, no. Getting them arrested, yes.
Okay.
That's different. That's extreme.
All right. So in regards to our other topic, do you see Trump as being the victim of a witch hunt? You're a libertarian. Where you at on this?
A witch hunt, I wouldn't call it a witch hunt, but I would say it's biased. Because if, let's say Hillary Clinton's case, it was all Republican states bringing cases against her. Well, people don't like Hillary Clinton. That's a bad example. If it was Barack Obama.
All right.
That was a bad example. If it was Barack Obama, it was all Republican states. I'm not Republican states, let me not say that. Republican prosecutors bringing these cases to Barack Obama, they would say it was biased. So yes, you can say there's something doesn't smell right, but there could be something there, but it doesn't look right when it's only Democrats doing it.
Well, let me take what you said and give you the reverse of it. If Trump is allegedly committing crimes, now he could be totally made up a witch hunt, but if only Democratic prosecutors are going after Trump, is it possible, if you see Democrats being biased and being hateful of Trump, is it also possible that the Republican prosecutors may be favorable to Trump and are letting him get away with committing crimes?
That actually happened. Remember, there was a Republican who was doing Biden's case. But when he came out with his, he's a right wing, whatever. You see how the winds change that quick?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. It's different when it's your guy, but when it's the other guy, no, this is right. They got him. Even though Kevin O'Leary came out and said everybody's doing this. Well, that's true, but you got to remember the DA has discretion too. They can choose what cases not to and what cases to do. A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, they have discretion.
So in regards to discretion, wouldn't they also have discretion to whether or not to charge Hunter Biden with lying on a gun application? I mean, nobody got hurt. He don't have a gun anymore. I mean, they could easily give him discretion, right? I mean, a fine. Does he really need to be pinned with a felony for that?
Well, there's felons that get pulled over. They got guns on them. They didn't shoot anybody, but they're not supposed to have the gun. They get arrested. Why is Hunter Biden get special treatment?
Right, and there are people that do what Kevin O'Leary does, and some of them get arrested too. They don't all get away with it.
A lot of them are getting away with it.
Right, but some of them do not.
Or they have to really do something really egregious. I think what Trump was doing was out of the ordinary. I'm using Kevin O'Leary as an example. I'm not saying he's the poster child for. Everything is fair and all that with the rich. I'm just saying that he's saying this is standard practice. That's what he's saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, if what Kevin O'Leary, let me just say this. If I
can't do that.
let me just say this in regards to what if Kevin O'Leary said that is standard practice. I think the onus needs to be taken off of Trump and realize the whole system is fucked up. Because Trump basically is saying I used a loophole that all of us rich people use and get away with. So talk about it.
He said that when he was debating Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Then why the hell is he complaining about a two-tier justice system when his rich ass is benefiting from it?
Well, they probably heard that during the debate. He said, you know what? Listen, if he gets out of office, we're going to nail him to the wall for that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Well, to me...
It's all Democrats. It's all Democrats. It just looks bad.
Well, but it looks bad. It looks bad that they went after Trump for bragging about getting rid of a loophole that is unfair to the poor. Maybe it should also look bad that he was bragging about getting away with it.
Well, exactly. He can't. If he would just be quiet, and what he's doing now, he's doing a little bit better now.
The point. That's the point. That is the
now on his policy, where he should be doing that from the beginning. But he can't help himself.
And that's the moral of the story, as you just said. If he could just be quiet, that solved the overwhelming majority of his issues. If he could just be quiet.
Here's the other problem. They're making him a martyr. He's going to win the election, and it's going to be the Democrats' fault. Period. And he's going to carry Republicans down ballot with him like he did last time. I think it's going to be worse this time.
Why do you think he's going to win? Based on what? I mean, is it? You said
Democrats suck at messaging. They suck at it.
I agree.
Look what's happening in Chicago and New York. They got the black community, our community, complaining that you're giving the brown people more things that you're giving us. We lived here all our lives, not understanding that it's the Republican governors that are sending them up there in the first place. That's not what they're focused on. They're focused on what I see in front of me, instead of saying, you know what, the Republican governors are doing this to stir us up. They're not focused on that. I have said that every time. But let me ask you this before I move it on. Why do you say Trump is going to be a martyr? What would cause him to be a martyr? Because what they're doing to him right now. Every time a poll comes out, he's gaining popularity. This is ridiculous. Like, stop.
So wait a minute. So you're saying because Trump is getting railroaded by the system is making more folks support him?
By the Democrats.
Okay.
Yes.
So now you're libertarian. What do you think of, let's say, Nancy Pelosi? What do you think of her?
She's a spender. I don't like her.
Okay. You don't like her policies?
Not a lot of, some of them.
Okay.
Most of them, no.
So
all this omnibus bill stuff they were doing, and not looking through the bill, not reading it, they need to quit doing that. That's why we got inflation in the first place. That's the real problem.
So
Republicans and Democrats, but both of them had the presidency for over the last 200 years, and we've been freaking in debt.
Okay. So let me
stop spending more that comes in, then inflation will go down.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you in regards to your martyr question. You give me your opinion of Nancy Pelosi. You're no fan. Let's say you were 100% certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that Nancy Pelosi was being railroaded by the justice system, a complete witch hunt. You were certain of that. Would that make you support her?
If I was
100% certain, you know the charges against her are complete fraud. Would that make you support her politically?
If I was a Democrat, hell yeah.
I'm talking about right now, you as a libertarian.
Oh no. Let me be clear. What they're doing to Trump is not working on me. It ain't working on me. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Okay.
It ain't working on me.
All right, fair. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that folks.
But answer your question, no, it wouldn't, because what they're doing to Trump is not working on me either. But I'm saying, if I was a Republican or a Democrat, yes, that it would work.
Yeah, but if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you're likely to vote for him anyway.
I know, but if you see, it's like when LeBron flops. Sometimes it looks real. You're like, oh crap, maybe they are doing to him an injustice. You know what? I wasn't going to vote, but now I'm going to vote. And it starts to swell. Then the independents, they don't like the economy. They don't like the price of groceries. They're like, you know what? When Trump was in office, things were lower. Not forgetting.
Yeah, but
hold on. This point is important.
Okay.
He took over Obama's economy. which was going up slowly. All Trump did was pour gasoline. He could have fucked it up. He could have. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I can say that on TikTok. He could have messed it up, but he didn't. So he gets credit for that part.
All right.
But he signed into law omnibus bill too, and that's part of the reason inflation is high right now.
All right, fair enough, Farlow. Appreciate you coming through.
No problem.
And the reason I asked the Nancy Pelosi question is because there is a popular sentiment that the charges against Trump is making his support grow. I don't buy into that. I do believe that folks are really pissed off at what Trump is going through, but I believe what's happening is the folks who love Trump are starting to love him more. It's galvanizing the folks that already were going to support him. But I use the Nancy Pelosi's issue because it doesn't matter what the hell Nancy Pelosi is going through. If you don't vote that way, you're not going to go over to her because she's getting railroaded. You don't give a damn about that. You may feel sorry for her, but you're not going to vote against your principles because somebody's being railroaded. And oddly enough, a lot of folks do, talking about my beloved MAGA, do seem to think that all of a sudden a Democrat or somebody is going to vote for Trump because he's being railroaded. If the man is not in favor of the principles and policies you stand for, you're not going to vote against that just because the justice system is mistreating him. So folks need to understand that ain't going to happen. The support that Trump is getting is coming from people that already were going to support him. It's no different than if you get railroaded by the justice system, maybe your mom suddenly starts calling you every day, crying on the phone with you. Mom already loves you. She's just closer to you now because the system is mistreating you. But mom was already on your side. That's how it works. So I don't think Trump's support is growing because of what he's going through. Look at it in the comments real quick. I'm an independent. He added $1 trillion to the deficit and gave a tax break to millionaires. Justice system is not mistreating him. He is a criminal, says Speak Easy for Kids. Damn. Listen, in terms of the $1 trillion to the deficit, Nikki Haley said that on stage. I think Nikki Haley's problem is she waited too long to come after Trump. I don't know if any of the other candidates could have been competitive to Trump, but they sure took a hell of a route to try to. You can't run against somebody by being nice about him. All of them on stage, he's a great president and all that. I'd pardon him. Well, damn it, he's still running. Why don't we just vote for him? Tim Scott, I love him. Why the hell did you even run? Look, I'm not trying to disrespect Tim Scott, but what the hell was that all about? Why didn't you just go on stage and hug the man? You ran for president. You're taking money from donors that want you to win when you're making no effort at all to do this. You look at Tim Scott. Is there anybody who believe that he ever even thought he could win himself? Did Tim Scott ever exhibit anything that makes you think that he thought he had a chance to win? He was running for a cabinet position. And if Trump wins, he'll likely get one. Folks who donated money to Tim Scott deserve a damn refund. He wasn't even trying to do it. So, look, I'll just throw it that way that, some of those folks were not even in it to win it. Nevertheless, you guys, I do appreciate the 120,000 likes. We run an uncensored program here, so it's always an honor to have you folks tune in every day because getting MAGA and a bunch of liberals in the same location and making it work without the comments just being insulting and crazy, it is a feat. It is an accomplishment. And I'll pat us all on the back because at the end of the day, it's not my program. It's not your program. It's our damn program. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Tap that screen. Appreciate that. 120,000 likes. I will see you folks tomorrow. Have a good day. You folks on YouTube, shout out to you folks that have been tuning in, and the participation is growing. So I am certainly pleased to see so many of you folks tuning in. A couple of you guys actually dropped in a super chat, so that definitely creates the wow factor. Thank you. I think Trump added $6 trillion to the deficit. Yeah, he certainly added money to the deficit. He can use the pandemic stimulus checks as an excuse. I don't think anybody even if you're bitching about the deficit, are going to say, I didn't want that 2,000 or whatever the hell we got in stimulus money. So he can use that as part of the excuse. As always, real quick in the comments, my super chat. Thank you, Naeem Barber and Ziori 10th. Your super chats are greatly appreciated. It is your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. I will see you.